Oh, hey there. So today we are going to learn how to fletch arrows, cut arrows, and make the perfect elk hunting arrow, if you will. Follow me. Yo, yo, yo. So check it out. This is like Yo MTV Cribs, yo. We're right in here in the heart of the workshop. Got my sweatshop in full effect. Got Mrs. D right over here making the Phelps calls, yo. Yeah, got a t-shirt operation right here. Yeah, just out here in the workshop, trying to live a better life. And when I said we are going to learn how to make arrows today, that means I'm going to learn too, because I've never fletched arrows really for myself. I've always been that guy that's like, why would I buy shafts whenever I can just buy arrows with fletching? I mean, why wouldn't I do that? So anyway, today we're going to go ahead and figure out how to do that. Maybe I'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn something too. You'll probably learn that, you know, not everybody that is on YouTube is an arrow builder. All right, our list of materials: Arizona Easy Fletch. That's good, because I need easy. The true helical fletching tool. Starting out with some Rampage arrows. Got these small diameter arrows. They're probably my favorite I've ever shot. We got some AAE Max fletchings. My good buddy Justin at Diamondback Archery said these are the ones that will make your arrow fly the best and guaranteed to kill an elk. So I don't know, we'll see. He said he'd give me this little pin here too to clean each one of these fletches. And then we got the special glue from Black Eagle to make sure they stick. So all right guys, let's see what happens. All right guys, we're going to start out with some Black Eagle Rampage 300 spine. We're going to put it in this little easy fletch device, so it's kind of weird looking. Here's what we're going to do. Just push it, twist it, it comes open. Kind of looks like, I don't know, one of those things off of like a science fiction film. What was that? Stranger Things? That thing that would come out and grab people? I don't know. Anyhow, so we're going to take our arrow, we're going to stick it in there. There's just a little hole. Put it in. You're going to kind of rotate it around. You're going to feel down there. Your nock clicks into a little spot. So now we have these little fins here. We're going to put our fletchings in there. We're going to clean the fletchings, and we're going to put them on the arrow. Now, one thing before we get too far, before we get too carried away, I don't think you can get too clean on your arrows. Now, I haven't done the fletchings before, but I've been gluing broadheads in for eons, right? And what I found about gluing in broadheads is, especially with carbon, is it has to be super, super clean. Basically, you want to take a little pad like this. Shh, don't tell the missus. I stole this out of her makeup cleaning kit, and we're going to use some of this acetone, I don't know, however you guys say it, tomato. We're going to use that to clean this arrow really well. We don't want any grease on there. We don't want any carbon residue, because carbon residue, guess what? That's going to come off with the glue on your shaft. So see what I mean? Right there, we've got dirt, carbon residue. So we're going to flip it over. I'm going to wipe it again. Nice and clean. So dirty, clean. Don't touch it. We don't want any oils from our hands on there. We're going to use 1 orange and 2 whites. Lots of color. We want to see these things flying through the air. That way we see where we hit the bull when we shoot, right? We got our little pin. I don't know if this thing's dried out or not. I've had it for a while. Yeah, I pushed the button and I just got a whole bunch of liquid on me. Kind of feels like good old acetone. Acetone? So yeah, that just washed the entire fletch for me. Perfect, perfect. Probably a lot of you guys that do this, and it'll be like, you're doing it wrong. I hope I do it right. I don't have to do it again. I guess we'll see when I touch off the first arrow in its maiden voyage. Just to make sure I did touch that. I'm very picky about the cleanliness on this. I can't stress it enough. I don't know how many times I've ordered arrows over the years that some pro shop put the fletchings on, and the first shot out of the bow, it's just like fall. Your arrows start shedding leaves everywhere, or should I say fletching. So, okay, we're nice and clean in there. Now, we're gonna use this pretty awesome glue. It's kind of a rubberized, rubbery glue. It's not super hard. It doesn't dry hard, which is great, because if it dries super hard upon impact, it will crack. Well, this stuff is a little bit rubberized, so whenever it impacts, it doesn't crack. So it actually has that shock absorbing type of feature. So keeps you from losing your inserts in the target, which is horrible, and I've done a lot over the years. So let's see here. Oh, whoa. Already got a little bit out there. So we're just gonna put some little dots on here. The old saying, less is more, couldn't be more true with putting glue on your fletchings. I imagine. I mean, that's glue on just about anything. Seems like if you use as much as you might think, that's still probably too much, because you got to remember, you get a nice coverage on here, but as soon as you squish that thing down and clamp some force onto it, it's probably going to squish out the edges, and you don't want glue running all over your arrow. So I'm just going to go with a little bit. I have watched people put these things together before, but not with one of these little contraptions, so I'm hoping it'll work. So okay, I don't want to wait too long because I don't want our glue to get too dry. So alright, this is weird, we're gonna twist it. Whoa, whoa. Okay, alright. And I don't know. It looks like I'm looking in here, and it looks like I'm getting good contact all over with these things. So I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know. You guys will probably be able to comment below and say, hey, dummy, it only takes 3 minutes or 12 minutes or 25 minutes. I don't know. So we're going to let this sit for a little bit and dry. And then we're gonna cut this arrow to length. We're gonna prep the spot. We're gonna do some broadhead matching. We're gonna match the broadheads to the insert to make sure we have the perfect match set up to where the broadhead spins true, the insert spins true, and the arrow spins true, to where it's nice and smooth. That way, when I release that perfect arrow, it's going to fly good out to distance, you know, 50, 60, 70 yards, whatever. It's going to track really well and be accurate. So, all right, I'm going to push pause here and we'll come back when this is dry.
A few minutes later.
All right, guys, I'm back. Let's see what we did here. I tried to look it up to see how long we're supposed to do this on the Black Eagle website. Actually, earlier when I was showing you this, I didn't put this little sleeve onto, so I put that on after I quit filming. Pop that baby off. Let's push this down. Open. 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 Bam. Holy moly. Now, that is one heck of a helical. Wow. Man. Can you change the helical? That looks like what we got. So I don't know if I've ever shot a helical this aggressive before. More helical, more spin, better stabilization when the arrow's flying. Yeah, interesting. So we're gonna give this a whirl. Okay. It looks like some parts here is they're still a little tacky. I do know when I've glued in broadheads with this, or inserts, I should say, it dries super fast on the inserts. Like, you just have enough time to slip it in, make sure you bottom it out, and then it's stuck. It's glued. So I'll always let it cure before I shoot them. So anyway. Okay, looks like we're set there. Now we got to figure out how long I want to do these. Normally I think I have my arrows about 28 inches. I think I'm going to make them just a wee bit longer this year, maybe 29 inches. That way I don't have any issues with broadhead clearance. I don't want to have to worry about that broadhead climbing up over the riser, so, and maybe accidentally pulling itself off. And we, you know, before season, we're testing this stuff out, but I don't want any possible hang-ups when a big bull comes in. My cousin Jesse came out from Florida one fall elk hunting, and his arrows were just a little too short. In fact, they would hang up on his riser. So, but he just like would make a conscious effort to not give it that last little pull, you know, back beyond the back wall on his draw cycle. And what happened is a bull of a lifetime came screaming in to about 18 yards or so, and guess what? Well, you know, in the heat of battle, Jesse pulled his bow a little too hard, and it pulled that arrow right off the string, and this giant 6-point bull ran away. Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. So anyway, we want to make sure we're not going to have any of that before season. So now we're going to get set up, do some arrow measuring, and then I've got this cool chop saw. My buddy Brent, old Brent Mueller, old hunting partner there from North Idaho, he gave me this, and he's like, well, I'm not going to use it, so you might as well. So today we're going to see if I'm smart enough to learn how to cut an arrow without screwing it up. So, all right. Let's check this out. All right, guys, I got my last year's arrow, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it back and kind of look and see where I want to have it here. So, okay, if you look, the point is about where I want to cut my arrow off. So I stick out just past the riser there, just a little bit, to make sure I don't have any clearance issues whatsoever. All right, so we loosen this little deal down here. I want to slide this up. See, you can cut this arrow anywhere, but we're going to put it right here at the arrow tip. Is how long I want that arrow. So I'm going to set this little set screw right here. So now I can take my other arrow and then twist, set it here and twist and cut. Now the trick with this is, as it cuts, you have to twist towards the blade. You don't want to twist away from the blade. You want to twist into the blade. You just want to twist very lightly. Twist, twist, twist. Just make contact. Twist, 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 and let that chop saw just slowly cut that arrow off. Okay, now over here on the little cutter measurer mechanism thing, we got a little thing to kind of deburr it. So we want to clean up the outside. We're not going to put up a bunch of pressure on it. We're just going to lightly, like you're doing your pool cue. All right, guys, we've got the cut made. And what I like to do to prep, and this might be right, this might be wrong, but what I like to do on the inside of my arrow is I like to take a little bit of this 220 grit sandpaper, and what I want to do is I'm going to cut off a little tiny piece of it and put down inside the shaft, and I want to score the inside of the shaft a little bit. I'm not trying to sand it, I'm just trying to put a score. I want to put some rough marks in that carbon. That way that glue has something to really hold on to. Or a magnifying glass or a microscope even, you'd see these tiny little fissures that the glue soaks into. Well, that's what it takes to keep your inserts from falling out. So after we score it, then we're going to clean it really well again with the acetone, and then we're going to start matching up our inserts and our broadheads and make sure they can do a spin test. All right, well, let's get with it. All right, guys, we're going to poke this down inside, and since this is a very small diameter shaft, it has to be tiny. If you've ever tried to roll up sandpaper in a tiny fashion, it's not the easiest, but it's worth the effort. So here we go. So, all right, got it in there. I'm just gonna give her a few little twists, back and forth. That's it. We're not trying to sand down anything. We just want to score it a little bit and give it a little bit extra bite. Now also, I'm gonna get into my stainless steel half-out inserts is what they call them. And these things are pretty heavy. They're 56 grains. It's not super heavy, but quite a bit heavier than the aluminum. And what I like to do, I can already look at these and see there's a little bit of a film on them. So we're gonna grab that little pad we used earlier to clean. We don't want any oils, we don't want any films, we don't want any contamination, because listen, trust me, I have fought inserts coming out of arrows since the day I started bow hunting. And until I started doing this method, then I fought it. But these really hold good. So, all right, I've got this thing cleaned up, prepped real good. Now, take that sandpaper again. Now, I'm gonna score the insert. Okay guys, we're not sanding nothing down. We're just putting some rough spots in, okay? I'm gonna wipe it one more time. Now, I'm ready to clean the inside of the arrow. How do you do that? Raided the old medicine cabinet again. Shh, don't tell the missus. Got the Q-tips. Before bow season shows up, she's like,
where's all my little cleaning pads, and where's my little Q-tips at?
and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I hope she doesn't watch this video because she's gonna be really mad. So look at that. Dirty. So dirty. Okay. Swirl around again. Okay. Get another Q-tip. Clean. Then I use the dry end. One more time. Clean as a whistle. All right. Now, I've gotten all that painstaking effort. Now, don't touch nothing. Just touch the tip. Stick it in there. Nice tight fit, but not too tight. Now we're gonna screw on a broadhead and we're gonna do a spin test and see if this thing's mating up right. And I'm here to tell you, I like to take a dozen arrows, and I like to take a dozen inserts, and I like to take at least 9, if not a dozen, broadheads. And and I'm gonna mate and match up every single one of these to every single arrow. And I wanna make sure every one of them is perfectly tuned, perfectly spun tested until we find the perfect match on every single one of them. So let's get after it. Okay, flavor broadheads we're gonna go with. These are the G5 Striker V2, 125 grain. I've shot the Strikers a lot in the past. They're scary sharp, they fly good. You gotta mate and match them, a few of them. Every now and then, if you just try to screw them on your arrows, I'll find one that kind of wobbles, but I'll do the old mate and match deal with my arrow, and they're great. They fly awesome, and they penetrate and leave the best blood trails of any of the heads I've used in the past. I have disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by G5. I wish I was, because I had to buy these things at Sportsman's Warehouse. They're not cheap. They're like 40 bucks a whack for 3 of these babies. So anyway, I've shot 2-blade broadheads in the past. They fly awesome, but I'm here to tell you, more blades, more blood. And that's what I'm all about. I have to be able to find the blood to find the elk, unless he dies within sight, which does happen sometimes, but not always. We're also going to use this little cheap arrow spinner, Pine Ridge Archery. I don't know, bought it on Amazon for 20 bucks. It's pretty basic, pretty deep, I don't know, it's not fancy at all. I don't know that it needs to be fancy, but we're going to spin this broadhead. And let me talk about something before we get too much further. There's the big debate, since I've been bow hunting, and I've got buddies who don't do it, and there's me that does, and I've got buddies that do it. I didn't say do. And what that is line up the broadhead with your fletchings. Now, 2 ideas. I personally think they fly better. I have just screwed broadheads on over the years, be like, oh, just screw them on and shoot them. I've tried that. I've got buddies that swear by it, and they can shoot fine for them. I don't know what the difference is, but for me, I haven't had much luck doing that. So what I do is I line up my broadhead with my fletchings. It's a 3-fletch, 3-blade broadhead, and I think they fly better. Now, that being said, you know, science tells us that's not true, because a perfectly tuned bow, it shouldn't matter at all. But I don't know, it just works better for me. So number 2, they look nice in your quiver. It's an aesthetic thing. So if you want to be in the cool kid club and have your stuff look nice, you want your fletchings to all pop just the right way, which is not super important. But what is super important is, by doing this, if you have your cock feather out, it's easy to put your broadhead back into your quiver, get the blades to go back in the same little cuts again, because you don't want to have to cut new spots in your quiver. I mean, I know guys that have one of those foam inserts inside their quiver, and those things look like hamburger at the end of the season, because they don't pay no attention to where they just jab them in there any old way. Their feathers don't, or their fletchings don't look nice and appealing to the eye, and also their quiver gets all beat up. Also, I want my blades to be super razor sharp. I don't want them having to cut new pieces out of the rubber every time I poke it in there. So I want it to follow into the same spot every time. And if you line up your broadhead and your fletchings, it's easy to find the marks and just insert it into your quiver without having any dulling effect, if you will, on your blades. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox on that. So now we're going to spin this thing and see, you know, so we'll spin it. If it's a little bit off, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it 1 blade to the fletch. So you'll keep your fletches on one side just right, but then we're going to turn the blade just 1 click, basically. And who knows, that may work just fine. Most of the time it does. Sometimes you got to get a little creative and match up a different insert to the head and make sure everything is just matched up perfectly. So let's see how lucky we get. I've never tried these V2s before. Let's see if they're better than the V1s, if, as they call them. I guess we just called them G5 Strikers before, we didn't call them the V1. But anyway, let's check them out. So I can see a little bit of a variance here. So we're going to turn this thing 1 notch. So I'll probably just turn it, I'll hold the blade. Turn the fletch. All right, looks like we've got a winner. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure we're all lined up here, and then I'm gonna take a Sharpie and I'm gonna mark the insert. I'm gonna mark the arrow right where they made up, and I'm gonna do it at the cock feather. That way everything's in line. That way it's easy to come back and then glue. Put your glue on your insert and get it in there lined up and ready to go. All right, so we're gonna put the glue on. Like I said before, less is more. That's where I learned this. You don't have to put a lot on here. You just have to put a little bit. And then I like to twist it on. Making very careful measures to make sure that I line up my marks. And then I'm gonna let it dry. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, guys, so that's how I build my perfect elk arrow. Comment below if you guys do it different. Maybe I'm missing out on something. I know there's a ton of talk about heavy arrows. Shot heavy arrows last year. Did a great job. Mine with this 125 grain tip are gonna be about 450. 455. I've shot those others at 435, and over the years with 100 grain broadhead and had fantastic luck, lots of pass-throughs. You hit one in the shoulder blade, it doesn't pass through, but I'm not so sure a 550 grain arrow is going to pass through either. You hit that big old shoulder knuckle, you know, where the scapula meets that other bone. I don't know what that bone is. I'm not a doctor, though I do play one on TV sometimes.
You have your ubulus muscle that connects to the upper dorsimus. It's boring, but it's part of my life. I'm just gonna grab this shirt if you don't mind. Just watch out for the guns. They'll get you.
You are pathetic.
but anyway, I know there's some guys that shoot those super heavy, hit like 800 grain arrows from grizzly sticks, I think they're called, with like a single bevel broadhead. I know those are like throwing a stinking tree at a bull, and surely those will penetrate those shoulder bones, but maybe not. So comment below, tell me what your arrow setup is. Maybe you do your fletchings, maybe you do your broadheads a little different and have better luck. Anyway, I'm not too proud to learn something from somebody else too. So anyway, thanks guys. I'm glad we can learn how to fletch arrows together. I'm definitely not a pro at it, but I'm a little better than I was before we started this. So thanks again for watching. All right guys, we have an update. And as far as broadheads go, I'm super impressed. I went 9 for 9, screwing the broadhead on the half out inserts and spinning them on one arrow each. And all I had to do was rotate, you know, do that one click, you know, match them up with the vein. And guess what? They were all super smooth. I didn't have to mismatch this head to that insert to that arrow back and forth like I've had to do in the past with the version 1 strikers in the past. So super impressed with them, super sharp. Can't wait to shoot these into my target. And then now as far as the fletchings go, guys, I just have to tell you, they sell you that little magic pin. for a good reason. Because if you don't use it, this is what happens. One of the arrows I messed up and I forgot to put the magic pin on, and I shot my arrow and the fletchings fell off. There was no glue stuck to the fletching at all. So super important. I'm glad they offer that kind of a deal. It makes it pretty easy to clean and purify the mounting surface of your fletchings. So anyway guys, just thought you'd like to know that. If you found this helpful, entertaining, or even just stupid, give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video. Thank you. Bye.
Get your Bugler swag at BuglerBrand.com.